Hi guys, we're having a quick chat with a person who's pretty much the talk of the town these days. He is none other than Deputy Inspector General of Police Ajith Rohana. Of course, he's also an attorney at law. Let's talk. Thank you for giving us the opportunity. Over 19,000 people have been arrested so far for curfew violations. Why is this? Is this because we can't control our people, or is it because we don't have the necessary boundaries or the restrictions in place?
Well, first of all, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to YesFM for organizing this program. And as you all know, what are the symptoms of this particular disease, COVID-19? So vomiting, fever, and all these things. And in addition to that, what are the methodologies, the ways this disease is transmitted to another person? Every time you need to keep social distance, according to the epidemiologist, at least 1 meter between two individuals, and apart from that, contact. So therefore, your question is why we impose this particular curfew. Yes, because the first COVID positive patient was found in Sri Lanka on the 27th of January 2020. She was a Chinese woman. However, then 27th of January to 11th of March, approximately 1.5 months time, we didn't have any case. But the first Sri Lankan patient was found on the 11th of March 2020, last month, and he is a tour guide. Then thereafter, it was observed that day by day, the COVID positive patients, the number had been increased. So accordingly, in order to prevent in spreading of this disease, the only option that we could develop, or we could implement, was curfew. This is not a conventional curfew. As you all know, after our independence, there are plenty of instances the curfew, this type of laws, emergency, had been imposed. But this is a different type of curfew. This is called quarantine curfew. It means every time we need to implement this concept. That the concept is called social distancing. As you all know, in our country, generally, the general public are, slightly panicked. But other countries, no country in the world, at the moment, no country in the world, there is no patient. Everywhere elsewhere, there are patients.
There are cases, yes.
There are cases. But, we took early action. To prevent this disease. So therefore, curfew was imposed. And at the moment, we have arrested approximately 20,000 suspects. And apart from that, approximately 5,000 vehicles we have taken into police custody.
What's going to happen to the vehicles? When are you going to produce them in court? Will it be handed over to their original owners? Some vehicles could be on rent, or it could be official vehicles. Yes. What's happening with that?
At the inception of the curfew, we arrested persons and they were given police bail, and the vehicles were released to them.
Okay.
At the time of the bail. But then thereafter we took a decision, no, we arrest the persons and they were not given police bail, and they were produced before the magistrate, and the bail was given, and at the time of the bail, vehicles were released.
Okay.
But, day by day, sometimes we found that the number of lawbreakers, their number was increased. Then thereafter we took a decision that, no, because this is not a malicious decision. So this is not a decision to harass the people of this country, but to prevent the disease. So spreading.
Yes.
So therefore, we took a decision to produce them before the magistrate and to remand them. And apart from that, the vehicles are kept at the police station, respective police station. So after 2 months time, 3 months time, 1 month's time, after this pandemic, so we are filing claims against them. We are framing charges against them. Along with that charges, these vehicles are produced before the magistrate.
So when you mean to say that you are remanding them, you are not releasing them, is that what you are trying to
No, some suspect, they were remanded, and after 2-3 days time, so the magistrate, the court, they released them. So still some are in the remand prison.
Yeah.
And apart from that, so after, I mean, when we file the case in magistrate court, so they have two options. So number one, they can plead not guilty of the charge. So therefore, I mean, with the bond, sometimes magistrate might release the vehicle, or otherwise magistrate might not release the vehicle until conclusion of the trial. Or otherwise, they can plead the guilty of the charge. Then, in terms of the provisions of the Criminal Procedure Code, magistrate would take action accordingly.
Just to ask you, what is the general excuse by these curfew violators? What would they say as an excuse? I went out to get food, or my family doesn't have dry rations, or I'm going to work. What is the general excuse?
So, I mean, hardly we found the cases like, I mean, you said. So, I mean, no one is going to trace food. I mean, every time they were trying to cross borders, to conduct some journeys, trips, and apart from that,
Some Facebook
parties to find, some alcoholic beverages like that. But hardly we found that type of cases and the people who were going to trace food or other things.
Coming back to that question of crossing borders, and there was a recent directive given that if you can't cross any of the district borders, when that happens, when you say that you are going to take someone into quarantine, if that happens, is quarantine considered a punishment of some sort? Or is it now, because it's absolutely necessary that you never know that someone who's out on the streets or not keeping the social distancing and visiting people could be infected?
Yeah.
What is the reason for that?
No, I mean, this particular law was promulgated by the British rulers in 1897. In 1897, approximately 123 years ago. So time to time, in terms of the provisions of this law, regulations have been made by the minister in 1954 and 1960. Then thereafter, this act had been amended in 2005 also. So according to all these regulations, the Director General Health Services could take appropriate action in order to prevent this disease. Disease means not this particular disease, but generally it is called quarantine diseases. Okay. So now the minister has gazetted this particular disease, COVID-19, as that type of disease, that category.
Yeah.
So therefore, IGP, the Inspector General of Police, has been vested with powers by the Director General of Health Services in terms of that particular act to take appropriate actions in order to prevent this disease. So accordingly, whatever the actions, so sending a person for 14 days for a period of quarantine, so it is also an appropriate action. Because now we are not going to impose this particular concept to the persons who violates the curfew in that particular locality.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
So if you go beyond the border,
Yeah. The thing is this. Now, if you take the statistics in respect of COVID positive patients, so if he takes the map, Sri Lankan map, so the majority, 90% of them, 80% of them, they have been found in this high risk areas like Colombo, Putlam, Gampaha, Kalutara, Kandy and Jaffna. So it means now we are in Colombo, we are here in Panipitiya, now we are in Colombo. So this Colombo district also has been identified and named as a high risk area. So if you are trying to cross the border, if you are trying to go from Colombo district to Kegol district, from Avisavela, it means sometimes you might carry this disease. The similar situation occurred in Wuhan. Similar situation occurred in Lombardia, in Milan, Italy. Similar situation because so they are these particular two areas, Wuhan and Lombardia. So these are the areas where this particular disease had been spread, and the patients, COVID positive patients, were found. The inmates of that particular area, the citizens, because of this disease, they were trying to leave that area to other areas. Then thereafter, they carried the germ, they carried the virus. Then COVID-19 had been spread to all other areas throughout the country.
So I think
but we don't expect the similar situation in Sri Lanka.
I think that answers that question that was sent to us by one of our listeners. We are moving into a few more important days, today being Good Friday. The weekend also would have been Easter Sunday and then followed by Sinhalese Avurudu. We don't get to celebrate this. This has been, I think, decided by the authority some time ago. What is your message to the people who are longing for a break, who are longing to be with their families, with their friends, and to enjoy this time? When will we know that, okay, for certain, by the 21st of April or by the first week of May, this will be lifted and life will return to normalcy?
So generally, if it is a Good Friday, our Catholic brothers, sisters, the Christian, so everyone, they go to church. But today they can't go to church, but they can pray at home. And especially to celebrate Sinhala and Hindu New Year, so they can celebrate Sinhala and Hindu New Year at homes along with their family members, along with the inmates of that particular house. So then thereafter, so definitely I believe that shortly we would be able to eliminate this disease from our country. Then thereafter we can have everything, parties, tamashas, everything, and we can do anything to celebrate New Year, everything. But we have to wait. We should be disciplined, and as a Sri Lankan citizen, we need to protect our country, our nation. So therefore, we need to wait.
So, speaking of tamashas and celebrations, alcohol sales and tobacco sales in some countries are, not prohibited, but in Sri Lanka we have prohibited. I'm assuming it's for the greater good or for a good cause.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on
that?
Now,
according to the experts in the field, especially the health medical authorities, they say that, so if you are smoking, so generally it's a potential, if you are a hard smoker, is a potential target to corona or the COVID positive. And apart from that, so if you drink alcohol, automatically your immunity is gone down, it is reduced, it is decreased. So I don't know about the concept that is being implemented in other countries, but everywhere elsewhere, even the WHO says that alcohol harms the body, and apart from that, taking alcohol decreases the immunity. But at the moment, at present, so we need to increase our immunity, in order to face with this COVID-19. So therefore, I think we have taken a correct decision taken by the relevant authorities to close all these liquor shops and bars, pubs, everything. And apart from that, so if you are a smoker, so definitely the possibilities are very high to get this disease.
To round things up and of course to finish our discussion, one final message to all our listeners and viewers. What would you tell them in the next couple of days? What's the best advice the DIG himself can give us?
Yes. Now, in comparison to the human civilization, I think commenced 30,000 years ago. So since the human civilization, to date. So this is the biggest disaster the modern world is facing. If 99% of the population adhere with the rules and regulation in respect of quarantine law, if 1% is disagreeing or he does not adhere with this particular quarantine rules and regulation, so all others' effort, all others' support would be invaluable. So therefore, 100%, everyone should think of this disaster. Everyone should support and assist in order to eliminate this disease. So it should come from their bottom of the heart. So therefore, two things I need to emphasize. Number one, keep the social distancing 1 meter between two individuals, and every time wash your hand. The other thing is, no one should be reluctant to divulge or reveal their identity in respect of corona. If you are having symptoms, suspected symptoms, every time reveal it, disclose it. So if all of us are going to implement this particular quarantine rules and regulation and adhere with them, so definitely I believe that within a very short period we would be able to eliminate this particular enemy.
There you go. One-on-one with one-on-one, of course, with the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Ajith Rohana. Stay tuned and stay at home, please. Thank you.